I moved into a HOA run neighborhood a couple of years ago simply because it was beautiful and clean. The streets were quiet and the homes were well kept. Also, the realtor assured us that the HOA wasn't too overbearing. 5.5 years down the line, things started to change. I heard that the HOA board was being a lot more active than it used to be, but I didn't think much of it. After all, I had no problem keeping to the rules. But then my brother came to stay with me for a few weeks. He lives abroad and came into the country for a project, so he rented a car which he parked on the street, but he never blocked anyone, and he was respectful. Hardly a week after he came, I got my first notice from the HOA saying my household had an unusual amount of guest activity and asking for an explanation. I called the number listed and spoke with someone from the board. I explained that my brother was staying temporarily and that it wouldn't be a long-term thing. The call was polite, but I could tell they were suspicious. 3 weeks later, I got another letter. This time it mentioned ongoing non-resident traffic and warned that continued violations could result in fines. I was confused. My brother had just left, and though we had a noisy goodbye on the driveway, he had actually returned his rental and had left in a cab. I didn't understand what they were talking about. Then I found out that a couple of other families were getting similar notices. One neighbor had her parents visiting from out of town. Another hosted a birthday party for her daughter and had a few cars parked outside for a couple of hours. All of them received warnings. When we compared letters, the wording was nearly identical. Concerns about guest traffic, community disturbance, potential misuse of residential property. It felt like the board had decided to crack down, but none of us understood why. At the next HOA meeting, several of us showed up to ask what was going on. That's when it got more uncomfortable. The board president explained that they were trying to maintain the character of the neighborhood and discourage what they called abuse of guest privileges. I asked if there had been specific complaints. He said yes, but when I asked if they were from direct neighbors, he said that wasn't relevant. The room was tense. It became clear that someone, or maybe more than one person, was watching and reporting on who came and went from our homes. I left that meeting feeling uneasy. I wasn't trying to cause trouble. I paid my dues. I kept my yard clean. I respected the rules. But it felt like they were treating us like problems, just for having visitors. One neighbor, an older man down the street, shared that he'd received a warning after his church group came over one evening. He'd been in the community for over 15 years without a single issue. He told me it used to be about neighbors helping neighbors. Now it's about who can tattle first. Eventually, a few of us started attending meetings regularly. We asked questions, challenged some of the policies, and even ran for open positions on the board. At the next annual meeting, we pushed for clearer definitions around guest policies. We asked that the HOA stop sending vague warnings and instead deal with specific, documented issues. It didn't solve everything, but it made a difference. Now, people still host friends and family. Cars still park on the street sometimes. And yes, there are still a few board members who give us hard looks, but at least now we know we're not alone and that we have a voice. Looking back, I realize how something small like letting my brother crash on the couch can turn into a big deal if power is left unchecked. I'm not trying to make waves. I just want to live in peace without anyone peeking in my window or judging me behind theirs. And maybe if enough of us speak up, we can make sure it stays that way.